Good morning and welcome back to another video. It is very, very cold today. I think the wind chill is below zero. The Hay Woodpecker flying over. Pretty cool. But today I wanted to talk about ways to stay warm birding in sub-zero temperatures. Oh boy, it's definitely a brisk morning today. And I think the birds would agree with me. Whew. I find it amazing how well they can survive in the bitter cold. So I'll be going through a handful of different ways that I know how to stay warm during freezing mornings like this when you're trying to stay focused on the birds. And to just jump right into it, I think that gloves are one of the most important parts of outdoor winter gear, especially with photography. And I am really loving these. They're from the Heat company. They are the Heat Soft Shell 2 gloves. And right now is pushing their temperature limits, but I'm trying to keep the mitten down as long as I can, and they do a really good job. For longer periods of time out in the field in the sub-zero temperature, they make thicker hoods to put around these types of gloves, and those will be a lot warmer and probably would give you a lot more finger stamina out in the cold. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about some different ways to stay warm while I am out shooting in the winter, and we'll see if we can get any pretty shots. There's a ton of snow on all the trees, so it'll look really nice in photos if we can get anything. And the sun's actually peeking out from behind the clouds. That's pretty. Another piece of gear that really helped me stay warm during these frigid winter days out shooting is just a ski mask. You can pull it up over your face, and then it keeps your face really warm actually, and it also kind of you can tuck it into your shirt, and that can really help with wind. But probably my biggest tip that I'm going to exercise a lot during this video is the best way that I've found to stay remotely warm on these very, very, very cold mornings is keep moving. If you can just walk at a slow pace like this, that will really, really help you stay warm. There was quite a bit of action over there as far as birds, and I'm not hearing anything on this side of the park, so I might head back there, see if we can photograph some of those other birds, like that Hay Woodpecker. And there was a ton of chickadees. Can never get too many photos of chickadees, right? I hear a chickadee singing. Such an iconic song. To me, it sounds like they're saying cheeseburger. Like, cheeseburger! Someone told me that one time, and I could never get it out of my brain. Whenever I heard a chickadee call, they say cheeseburger now. So there's that. Several mallards swimming around in the water, or what's left of it, in the river. There is a bald eagle nest up here, and we have some resident bald eagles in this park, and I got to photograph them a while ago, but I made a video about it. Extremely special morning. Hopefully we can get some photos like that today. That would be great. Psh, 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 psh. That's a pileated woodpecker. That's another pileated. Wow, awesome. I just saw that woodpecker fly over and go join the other one. That's awesome. They're so cool. Another very practical piece of gear that I recently got is this Zippo gas-powered hand warmer. And it's really, really nice. I would totally recommend this. It actually stays warm it claims to stay warm for 12 hours, but when I filled it up the other day, it actually stayed hot for 13 hours straight. I was out birding for a very long time looking for some snowy owls. Would totally recommend this Zippo hand warmer. It's great. Those woodpeckers are just calling back to each other and drumming on their branches. It's pretty cool. Another tip for bird photography in sub-zero temperatures is when you're pulling up in your car, and when you're in your car, don't turn your heat on fully or just at all if you can bear it. Because if your glass in your lens is a much different temperature than the outside, which is freezing in my case, it can actually make heat distortion in front of the lens because of the front element being such a vastly different temperature than the outside air. They actually mix together and then it can refract. And then, I think I explained it in an earlier video, it just makes your photos slightly soft, which is not good. And actually, if you're experiencing that, if you take off the lens hood off of your lens, it can actually sometimes take that away because the wind will blow that warm air away from your front element. That usually temporarily gets rid of the problem. But if you can help it, don't get your lens super warm before you head out. I see 2 woodpeckers on these trees in front of us. Oh, make that 3. Looks like there are 2 Downey woodpeckers and 1 Hay woodpecker. Also, I did get an upgraded microphone situation, so hopefully the audio sounds a little bit better than it usually does. A lot of people agree that the Downey woodpecker and the Hay woodpecker look extremely similar, but a good way to tell them apart is a Downey woodpecker's bill is a lot shorter compared to its head than a Hay woodpecker. I can't remember the exact proportions, but I think a Downey woodpecker's bill is about half the length of its head, and a Hay woodpecker's bill is about the same length as its head. And once you kind of remember that and start to identify a lot of different Hays versus Downey woodpeckers, then you'll get a good feeling for which one is which. Not to mention they do have completely different calls, and the Hay woodpecker is much bigger and closer to the size of a red-bellied or a red-headed woodpecker. A lot of times when I'm out in this temperature, I'll get really cold toes, and I know you can get foot warmers that you put into your boots and then you put your feet on top of them. And I've heard pretty good things about those. I've never really tried them, but they definitely be worth a try. Also in the winter, I find that a lot of the smaller birds, like chickadees and titmice and Downey woodpeckers and such, will all come together and usually be in one big mixed flock, kind of gleaning the forest edge and stuff. And if you can find that group, that's usually going to be your best bet for finding the most amount of bird activity in the given location. This snow is not going anywhere anytime soon. It's supposed to be really, really cold for the next few weeks, I think. Haven't really gotten any photos yet, so hopefully we can turn it around. And a lot of photographers will complain about the shooting in direct sunlight and having it be just so harsh and unusable. I think I disagree with them mostly. I find that I can usually make direct sunlight work if I have to. I agree that it's not the greatest light conditions. It's probably not as good as a bright overcast day, although you can definitely take some amazing photos in the bright sunlight. Don't fall down there. That'll be chilly. It is really just so peaceful today. One thing that I do like about winter though in photography is that the snow is really bright, so you can have a lot of light for your photos, so you can turn up the shutter speed usually as high as you want, given that it's a remotely bright day. Way back there, further down this trail, we saw a great horned owl one time. I was out with a few buddies, and that was pretty cool. That was one of the first times I've seen a great horned owl. If you've been enjoying this video so far, which honestly has been a little bit boring, but you could give it a like on YouTube, and that will really help the channel out, and I'd really appreciate it. Overall, sadly, I think bird photography here in the winter is pretty challenging because most of the birds will group together and kind of go toward a reliable food source, and it's a bit hard to find those areas in habitat like this, and usually they're up fairly high in the trees if you're in a forest area like this, so it can make it pretty difficult to get any good photos, and I think that is proving to be true this morning. But seeing the birds is one thing. Getting a high quality photo of the bird doing something interesting is a completely different thing. And that's really what I strive to create in my photography. I will say it's starting to warm up. This sun is pretty powerful. It feels good on my face. But that's really the thing with winter bird photography. Sometimes there will be places that you find that are a reliable food source for the birds, and you'll get a ton of them really low to the ground and it'll be great. But most of the time for me, it's kind of like this, and you are not seeing nothing and you're still getting some birds, although most of them are at the tops of trees. Also, if you have any more ways to stay warm while shooting in the freezing cold, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But yeah, sometimes you just don't get much on these days. There's pretty little amount of bird activity. Well, with that, I think I'm gonna call it, sadly. Never really got any great photos today, but it's how it goes sometimes, and you have to be okay with that. Sometimes the birds are cooperative, sometimes they aren't. Today, they kind of weren't, but that's all right. Some red-bellied woodpeckers battling over there. But thank you all for sticking till the end and watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.